In many ways, the Switch has made gaming life a lot easier. Take it with you wherever you want, play it whenever you want, however you want, but sometimes life as a Switch owner is a hard knock life, and there are things that become very, very difficult and even very trying. Today, we're covering the ones that are hardest for us as Switch owners, and we'd love to hear which one of these you associate with most, or if you have something that makes your Switch life hard, let us know in the comments down below. Gabe, I'm going to kick it off with one that I think is obvious to everyone. Finding solid stuff on eShop, sifting through the ocean of titles that is now out there, it can be tough. And if you spend a couple weeks away from keeping up to date with the releases, it's just a mess.
Yeah, curation on eShop is something that a lot of people want. Hopefully it's something Nintendo addresses at some point, and I have to feel like they will. But yeah, you're right. If you maybe don't pay attention for a while, you come back, there's just so many games. A lot of them are going to be obscure indie titles that you've never heard of. It's impossible to know what you should play and what you should probably stay away from. The best sellers list is kind of a way to, figure out what you want that could be of quality. But, honestly, the top sellers list is just whatever big new releases out there and the indies that are just become mainstays. So yeah, finding solid stuff on eShop is very, very difficult.
Yeah, I spent a couple weeks away from buying like the hit release of the week on eShop, and I went to look for some new games to get for a plane ride, and it was just overwhelming of like, okay, here is literally probably 60 to 70 games that I have not scrolled through yet, and which ones, outside of re-releases, which ones are worth, picking up, because I know, okay, I've seen, Mark of the Ninja before, I've seen, this on other platforms. They do still need to add maybe more filters, more ways of them highlighting a few, something to help sift through when you spent time away. That definitely can be tricky. So that can definitely make Switch life hard, but I guess if you're very diligent, you can figure it out. This one is a new issue that started to creep up, and it's knowing which controllers are the most valuable to have. Early on, the Pro Controller was the premium, and that was what you got if you wanted to really get into Switch and you had your Joy-Con and now you wanted more. But as of late, the Pro Controller, it feels like it's kind of being forgotten on some titles. We saw The World Ends With You Final Remix Edition not allow Pro Controller support. We just learned that Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee will also not support the Pro Controller. And we have Super Mario Party, which not only doesn't support the Pro Controller, doesn't even let you play it handheld. So Joy-Con are, I guess, reigning supreme, but it's just a little bit of flip-floppiness and back and forth of which controllers are going to work, even for the biggest Nintendo titles.
It would make sense for the Pro Controller not to work for Super Mario Party just because Joy-Con are so integral to the experience. But I don't know why Pokemon doesn't include it. Like, yeah, you gotta like do motion to throw it, but you can do like gyro stuff with the Pro Controller. That one I don't understand at all. The World Ends With You is a handheld game at its core, so that one makes a little bit of sense too, although I don't know if they couldn't make it work somehow, but yeah, you're right. A couple of big Nintendo releases here just completely ignore the Pro Controller. And not only do they ignore it, they just specifically tell you cannot use this. I don't think that's going to be the case going forward for like any major Nintendo games at all. I think it's...
Is it though? Is it though? Because Pokemon Let's Go seems like a surprise to me that it's not
Here's a
supporting.
question. Gen 8, you think that allows it?
I don't know. They've put out a precedent here, and I think just in general, while it is fine, like these games still play and control very well, it's just frustrating. Okay, I went on my way to buy a Pro Controller because this was going to be the premium way to play Switch, and now it's not supported. Or, okay, now I need to go buy a bunch of extra Joy-Con just to make sure that Super Mario Party can be the party that I need it to be. And I think that's just a bit annoying of, like, the controllers don't work across the board, and there is some caveats to each way of playing that, okay, this is better, this is worse, this might not even work even if it was worse. And at the price point that the Joy-Con and Pro Controller are still sitting at, that is definitely something hard about being a Switch owner.
This one doesn't worry me as much, although you kind of just put a little bit of fear in me, just knowing that it's not in Let's Go for some reason, and you could totally make it happen, and for some reason they didn't. So I hope that doesn't become something that Nintendo does often, and I hope
it
that
seems to be tied to the motion, so like motion for catching the Pokemon, the World Ends With You, or Mario Party with the motion, then World Ends With You had sort of like the touchscreen type stuff going on. So that factors in. I just don't like that they haven't found a way to simulate that, or, the Pro Controller has the gyro. I mean, it's not motion, but maybe you could still like aim.
I could throw a Pokeball with a Pro Controller, just do a little flick. Yeah.
It's just still frustrating that you could buy this expensive controller and it's not going to universally be a way to play. Kind of tying into that, for me, charging Joy-Con is pretty frustrating. I always forget to charge them. There aren't, I feel like, that great of indication of when they're not charged, and then having to slot them onto the Switch console itself in docked mode and not be able to play. Like, if it's handheld, yeah, you just plug your Joy-Con in, that's great. But anything I want to do multiplayer, like Super Mario Party, I forgot to charge up my second set of Joy-Con. Me and my brothers wanted to play. We can't. We have to just sit there and wait because I can't use my Pro Controller. I can't plug the Joy-Con in some, USB-style way to charge and play. It's still kind of annoying.
It's appropriate that you mentioned Mario Party because I didn't even know this was an issue until Mario Party. I never played with the Joy-Con detached because it was always Pro Controller. But now that Super Mario Party came along and, I played with detached Joy-Con, I found myself having the same issue. Like, oh man, these things are not charged. So I got to plug them into the Switch, which then you don't have to plug the Switch into the dock, but it's preferred that way just because then the Switch isn't just draining battery as well. Yeah, Super Mario Party introduced this to me. Another one that I'm not super big on, but yeah, you have so many of them, I'm sure it could be very hard to keep up which ones are charged and which ones are not.
Yeah, I just wish there was, and you can go get like a Joy-Con charging dock. Yeah. That's an option and it's something that I probably should have given the plethora of different little Joy-Con that I have in my household. But I just wish that you could plug them in. I wish there was a more convenient method to I forgot to charge them. Well, this puts the Mario Party on complete hold for the next 20 minutes or whatever while we try to get a little bit of charge. It's a little bit annoying. The next one that I think everybody feels is waiting for third-party support, waiting for multi-platform releases to rear their head in a more regular fashion, waiting for these companies to get on board, even after great sales figures, even after promising support, even after saying that it's working, even after seeing and showing that it's working, we're still left wondering, will we ever get it? Will 2019, will year 3 be the year? We know that Bethesda is committing massive resources with Doom Eternal and the next Wolfenstein. What else is going to happen? Will it ever happen? Or is this a never-ending wait?
I've spoken about this at length in other videos. I don't think we're ever going to get the third-party support the way we want it. I don't think there's going to ever be a day in the Switch's life cycle where the next Call of Duty comes out and it's on Switch as well as everything else. Unfortunately, there's other consoles coming that people are going to be excited for and developers are going to move towards. And that parity is going to be just so difficult to keep up with, since the Switch is already underpowered, and then once publishers decide, hey, we're moving on in the next year or two, it's going to be even that much more difficult to keep things going. Companies like Bethesda doing a really good job of doing their best. They're two, big franchises with Doom and Wolfenstein, and clearly they have a lot of other franchises, but those are the ones that are coming up more recently. Doom Eternal, more specifically, it's going to be on Switch day and date. That's going to be really, really cool. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of other companies doing that.
Yeah, we go back to the well of Lego and Bethesda and NBA, and those are the ones that you can kind of count on. Elsewhere, it is sporadic at best. And not to say that the Switch doesn't have an excellent library, because Nintendo puts out plenty of incredible titles. The indie scene is thriving and strong, even if the eShop is a little difficult to navigate through. We do have so many just gems and hits from that space. So there's a lot to play. But it is a frustration of a Switch owner, and one that I feel regularly of really wish that I knew if this was going to be on Switch, really wish that this was on Switch, really wish that there was more parity for some of these publishers and for their franchises, that I could play it on my preferred system. And yeah, I don't know if that ever shifts. When the sales were bonkers, it seemed like it was kind of going that direction, at least verbally. That's what companies were stating. Haven't really seen the fruits of those words, though, and maybe it's something that does show up next year after development time, and maybe they just needed a while to get on board. But I'd say I agree with you, most likely probably not. This is one that's going to, I think, be a frustration for the entire generation.
For sure.
Last on our list today, and it's one that I guess we're all partially responsible for, but it is still a frustration and a hard fact of life of being a Switch owner. the rumors, the leaks, and the accidental hype. There is so much on the Nintendo side of things that I feel exceeds any other gaming company and what people are saying on a regular basis. Rumors of Smash characters, leaks of posters, hype about a new Switch coming, or the reverse of not hype, worrying about something coming or worrying about something not coming. There's just so much out there, and I feel like it skews our expectations, it skews our thoughts, and we could, I guess, seal ourselves off from this, but it's really hard to avoid.
Yeah, and you touch on it a little bit at the top here, but we're kind of guilty of it. But it's a huge catch-22 for Nintendo, because part of it is what makes the Nintendo fandom like most like unique. All this conversation and the predictions, and this stuff doesn't happen as much with like Sony or Microsoft. It just doesn't. Like there isn't like this like huge like leak almost every other month, and you know a lot of them end up being fake with Nintendo, but that doesn't happen. And yeah, we report on it because we see them, and then we get excited, and then we overhype ourselves, and then it doesn't turn out to be true. We get Piranha Plant. Those are just some of the.
Don't take anything away from Piranha Plant.
No.
Of
course,
hype in his own right.
Sure, but you know, when we thought that there was going to maybe be 7 characters because of this huge elaborate fake leak. Right. It's hard not to be disappointed by that.
Well, and it's just, like you said, it's the fandom being so strong and having so much nostalgia and having so much fun and energy and enthusiasm, and definitely can turn toxic, as we've discussed previously. But I wouldn't want that to go away. I wouldn't want all the hype of like, oh my God, could this character be in Smash Brothers? Or oh my God, is this studio working on the next new Nintendo IP? That stuff is like you said, it's what partially makes Nintendo so great, and partially what makes owning a Switch and being a Switch fan so great. It just can cause controversy and consequences when it's completely not true, or when it makes you really expect 10 new games from this new Direct, and then there's nothing of the sort, but you wouldn't have felt so negatively had you not heard the rumor. It's just a really dicey situation that yes, we could do a better job of trying to like keep a level head, but at this point with the internet, with social media, it's so hard to avoid. I feel like almost every Switch owner has heard of at least a good majority of these major rumors.
Yeah, for me, this is like the biggest problem on Nintendo Switch, because it does seem to happen more on the Nintendo side of things. And then you touched on the toxicity of people a little bit. Like, people just get mean and just take things a little too far, because you can believe it or not, and, you know, that's fine. But people always want to be right. People always want to take it like a step further than it needs to go. And, like, that's the annoying part where I just, like, check out completely. I'm like, okay, like, I'm a grown-up. Like right. I don't care that much.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know that there's a remedy for this one. I don't know if there's a remedy for any of these. You know, we look and say, okay, hopefully they get the eShop a little bit more granular as they continue to add titles and we reach thousands of games on Switch. Hopefully they figure out controller arrangements. Hopefully we remember to keep our Joy-Con charged. I guess a lot of these are on us of like, okay, you know, keep your Joy-Con charged and you know, be more diligent with what you're paying for on the eShop, avoiding rumors, but they are things that are tough. And I do wish that, like, hey, the controller situation was just universal and every controller worked. I do wish that the Joy-Con did have a port. I do wish that the eShop was a little bit easier to sift through. I do wish that there was more third-party support after hearing the commitments and the promises and the hope. And I do wish that either these rumors and leaks always panned out, so we got excited for the right reasons, or that there were less of them. You know, it's not just Smash. It's things stating that this game's coming, or this game is being worked on, or this is the next port, or this is when this is releasing, or this is the plan, or here's the Direct. It's across the board. And at the end of the day, I still love the Switch, and these things don't take away from what it does so well, but they're definitely things that make it a little hard sometimes. And so we wanted to discuss them with you and hear if any of these 5 really frustrate you or make it hard for you. Or if you have any of your own different things that we didn't think of and that don't affect us that maybe really bug you about being a Switch owner. So let us know in the comments down below, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. All in all, we love the Switch, and it brings us a ton of fun. But here are some things that don't. So until next time, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch, both good and bad. Follow us on Twitter and Discord for more up-to-the-date information and to hang out with some fun Switch fans. And for myself and Gabe, until next time, Switch Force, out.